Hey, this is MJ. Welcome to another episode of the daily life of a motion designer. In today's tutorial, we will be diving into the detailed process to create a stunning animated text effect with reflections, texture, and light effects in After Effects. Whether you are a beginner or experienced in motion design, this step-by-step guide will help you craft a dynamic polished animation from start to finish. So grab your coffee and let's get started. Open the Previews file. Add a new black solid layer and rename it to Reflection. Select the Brush tool. Set the brush color to white. For the duration, choose Constant and move CTI in the 0 second. The brush tool needs the Layer panel instead of the Composition panel, so double-click on the layer to open the Layer panel. To adjust brush setting, hold the Control key and right-click to adjust the brush size. In the Brush panel, set the hardness to 0 to create a soft brush. Make several dots on the black layer with different sizes. Open the Effect Controls panel and check the box for Paint and Transparent. This will display only the brush strokes. Duplicate the text layer composition. Use Alpha Matte to link the reflection layer to the text composition. Move the reflection layer to see the result. If the reflection color doesn't look right, adjust the blending mode. I choose Classic Color Dodge, which works well with the text color. This mode brightens colors by increasing the contrast between the base and the blend colors, resulting in a vibrant effect. Animate the reflection layer to move from left to right throughout 4 seconds. Feel free to experiment with different brushes to create unique effects. Reduce the opacity to 70% for a more natural look. The reflection effect should now appear on the main text composition. Create a background. Search for a texture to use as the background. I often download textures from the Pexels website. Pexels offers millions of free licensed photos. Look for a seamless texture. A seamless texture is an image or pattern designed to repeat endlessly without visible seams or interruptions. When tiled side by side, top to bottom, or any direction, the edges blend smoothly, creating a continuous and infinite pattern. Import your desired photo and place it below the other layers. Delete the gray solid layer. Scale the image down to about 50% to improve texture detail. If your photo becomes too small, something like 15%, use the motion tile effect. Increase the output width and height to fill the whole scene. Since it is a seamless texture, the patterns will tile correctly. Back to the original image. Turn off the motion tile. Scale the image back up to 50%. Adjust the lightness and saturation. Since the image has a light color, add the hue saturation effect. Reduce the master lightness to around -44. You can also reduce the saturation if necessary. Add a golden splash effect to the background. Create a new solid layer and name it Golden Splash 1. Apply the fractal noise effect to it. Increase the contrast to 600. Reduce the brightness to -190. Scale the fractal noise down to 20. Reduce the detail to 2 for a softer appearance. To remove the black colors, add the extract effect. Increase the black point amount to 175. A gold color. Add the fill effect to change the color to gold. The golden splash still doesn't blend with the background, so choose a mode that fits. Overlay mode works well, giving the appearance of gold splashes on the fabric background. Add a second splash. Create a new solid layer. Add the CC Starburst effect. This effect will create a star-like pattern in the space. Set the speed parameter to 0 to stop the movement. Set the grid spacing to 10. Set the size to 50 for an appropriate effect. Add a fill effect, but this time use a darker or more saturated gold color to create a deeper look. Change the mode of this layer to overlay. Now you can have a fabric filled with golden sparkles, adding magical touch to the design. Create a light effect without using actual light. Create a new solid layer and name it Light BG. Apply the gradient ramp effect to this layer. Change the ramp shape to the radial ramp. Set the start color to white. Change the end color to a dark gray for a subtle shadowed effect. Adjust the start and the end point positions to create the effect of a light source. To blend the layer, set the mode to multiply. Why use the gradient ramp effect instead of real light? The gradient ramp creates a spot-like effect that mimics the presence of a light source. Although you could make all items 3D to simulate light effects, the sparkles won't be visible. This technique creates a light source fill without needing to deal with real 3D lights, offering more flexibility in your design. Create two line shines from the top and the bottom. Create a new solid and name it Light 1. Set the color to a light yellow. Create a mask. Select the pen tool and draw a mask on the top of the solid to create the first light shine. Increase mask feather amounts. Change the mode to the linear dodge. Reduce the opacity to 50 for a softer light effect. Place this layer at the top of your scene and the correct position. Duplicate the Light 1 layer. Press S to open the scale property and set the scale to -100 to flip the layer. Press Ctrl-Shift-Y to open the solid setting and change the color to orange. Place this flipped layer at the bottom of the scene to create the second light shine. This technique creates a balanced light effect from both the top and the bottom, enhancing the overall lighting in your composition. Organize the project panel. Rename the compositions for organization. Open TextComp 2 and select TextComp 1. Open Drop Shadow and set the distance to 2. Open the inner shadow. Set the choke value to 20. Set the size to 10. Open Bevel and Emboss. Set the technique to Smooth. Set the angle to 90 degrees. Hit Tab key to return to the main composition. Adjust Drop Shadow in the TextComp 2. Set the opacity to 100. Set the distance to 7. Set the size to 7. Create a line under the text. Open the TextComp 1 and create a shape layer, a line under the text. Disable the fill and enable the stroke. Mask the line to make it appear inside the text characters holes. For masking a shape layer, enable the tool Creates Mask. Again, mask the text to show the line moves through the text. Animate the text. Create a white solid layer. Create a circle mask on the solid. Open the mask properties and animate the mask expansion from a negative value, increasing it to fill the layer over 10 seconds. Increase the mask further to 235. Apply the roughen edges effect. Set the border to 350. Set the detail to 6. This effect creates a rugged, organic appearance along the edges. Apply the Fastbox Blur effect and set the blur to 7. Alpha matte the solid layer with the text layer. Duplicate the solid layer and this time alpha matte it with the line layer. Hit the Tab key again to return to the main comp. Preview your animation and check the results. These steps should create an engaging and dynamic text animation with detailed shadow and texture effects. Create a liquid style for the animation. Open the Text Comp 1. Copy all the layers from the first text composition, shape, text, and matte layers. Paste the copied layers into the second text composition. Pre-compose the layers and name it Map Layer. Open the pre-composition. Adjust mask properties. Open the mask properties and change the mode to subtract for both layers. This will make the text disappear instead of appearing. Hit the Tab key to return to the previous composition. Add Displacement Map Effect. Select the Text Comp 1. Add the Displacement Map Effect to this layer. The displacement map distorts a layer based on the brightness of another layer, creating effects like warping and rippling. Set Map Layers as the Displacement Map Layer. Turn off the Map Layer Ice Edge. Increase both amount parameters to 10. Go back to the main composition and check the glow effects. If you need to add a glow effect, set the threshold to 100 and radius to 7. Now, add the curves effect and adjust the S-curve for better contrast. Preview the scene to check how the liquid style effect looks. To adjust reflection, move the keyframe of a reflection to the correct position. These steps will help create a dynamic liquid-like effect for your text animation. Create a lens blur effect. Create an adjustment layer and put it above the layers. Add the Fastbox Blur effect to the adjustment layer. Increase the blur amount to 2. Create a circle mask in the middle of the adjustment layer. Set the mask to subtract. Increase the mask further to 350. Animate the mask pad over 8 seconds. This animation helps reveal the depth of the scene. Create a fade in entrance. Create a new black solid layer and name it Fade In. Animate the opacity over 4 seconds. Hit F9 for the last keyframe to ease the animation. Change the mode of the layer to soft light. Preview the scene to see the soft, gentle fade-in effect. The soft light mode creates a subtle contrast and lighting effect by blending two layers. It enhances highlights and shadows without drastically changing the overall image, resulting in a natural, gentle look. The final step: create a null object. A null object is an invisible non-rendering layer used as a control point for other layers. Name it a scale null. Select all the layers and parent them to the scale null. Press S for a scale. Hold Shift and press R for rotation. Set the scale to around 130. Rotate it to 7 degrees. Move to the 10-second mark. Set the rotation to 0 and the scale to 100. Hit F9 for both scale keyframes to ease the animation. Select the last rotation keyframe and hit F9 for easing. Now take a look at the final animation and review the smooth controlled motion with the adjustments you've made. Congratulations, you have completed your animation with the smooth scaling and rotation effects using the null object. And that's a wrap for today's tutorial. You have just learned how to create an engaging and fluid text animation with reflections, light effects, and a touch of golden magic. By using techniques like null objects, displacement maps, and blending modes, you can easily take your projects to the next level. Thanks for following along, and I hope you are as excited as I'm about your final result. Keep creating and pushing your motion design skills. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you found this tutorial helpful. See you in the next episode of the daily life of a motion designer.